One of the sticking points in the debt ceiling negotiations has been the 2017 tax cuts. Those provisions set to expire at the end of 2025. Republicans pushing to extend them as part of a deal. Democrats are arguing that an extension would be an expensive gift to the wealthy. Although it's unlikely now to be part of any final agreement, it may be the next big fight in Congress. With U.S. former Senator Judd Gregg joining us, also former Senator Heidi Heitkamp, two of our favorite tax experts talking about tax policy. Heidi, I want to talk to you first and get your perspective on this. So it looks like, at least for now, any discussion of taxes as part of this agreement are off the table. There was a proposal, I guess, from the White House to perhaps include some sort of closing of loopholes for oil companies and pharmaceuticals, as well as what Biden referred to as taxes on the wealthy. We don't know exactly what they were. Do you think broadly that taxes should be or should have been part of this overall debt ceiling discussion?
Well, it's hard, when you're talking about using the debt ceiling as an excuse to try and balance the budget and do fiscal policy, you're already, in my opinion, breaching a line that you shouldn't breach. But when you're talking about taxes, we knew when that bill was going through that this moment will come, the moment of reckoning on extending the individual increase or decreases that were given in the tax proposal. And so, it doesn't surprise me that they're trying to get this done sooner rather than later. Typically, what happens with these kinds of things, you get a discussion about extenders. Are we going to extend this rate, that rate? There's a lot of folks in blue states that are hoping that this bill, these things expire because it has the SALT tax deduction. But none of this belongs in a discussion on the debt limit, in my opinion.
Yeah, sooner rather than later is not a phrase that actually applies to Washington with entity. Judd, I wanted to ask you, obviously this discussion in Washington is all about the duration and the size of the spending cuts as opposed to what's happening on the revenue side. But this is sort of a warm-up for what will be probably the biggest tax fight in Congress over the next couple of years as those 2017 tax cuts and provisions expire at the end of 2025. What do you think should be done, and how should it be approached? And should it be a sort of menu approach where pieces of it are extended but not all of it? What would you do if you were still in the Senate?
Well, if I had the magic wand, I would set up something like the Simpson-Bowles group, which agreed to address, which was set up to address the debt and the deficit, and agreed that 75% of the reduction in debt and deficit would come from spending side and 25% would come from revenue side, and worked out a very comprehensive plan to do that and legislate it so it could pass. That may happen. Who knows? It's not going to happen now. This debt ceiling fight right now, the default fight, is almost the political equivalent of counting angels who can dance on the head of a pin. They're fighting over a number which really doesn't significantly impact the deficit over the long run. I mean, it impacts it, but not dramatically. The deficit is driven almost entirely by entitlement spending and by what's going to be a very costly way to finance our debt as the interest rates go up. And none of those things are on the table. This is political positioning. The Democrats want to claim that Republicans are cutting spending. Of course, they're not cutting spending, even if they go to a freeze, because you're not counting. The Democrats want to count in the baseline emergency spending, which is supposed to be one time for things like their boondoggles, like the Inflation Reduction Act, which should never be in the baseline. Republicans don't want to count that in the baseline. But as a practical matter, this discussion that's being fought over what is allegedly going to address our deficit and debt issue is like addressing your tool shed being burned down while your house is on fire. And it's, something's going to happen here which straightens this out, because neither side can afford a default, but we may get a brief disruption, which will be very unsettling, and the markets may have to step in and explain to the Congress and the president that this is not Hoyle and we can't tolerate it.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully it will be a brief situation. And Heidi, when you look at the tax provisions that the Biden administration was talking about as part of this deal, there was some discussion early on about carried interest, which is the sort of the zombie tax provision that everyone in the Capitol publicly opposes but never seems to die. And then, some of the other issues are the step up in capital gains. Those are both issues I know you've talked a lot about. Do you think either of those provisions will come up again in the next couple of years, and will Republicans give a little bit on either of those issues?
Well, I think definitely there's going to be a discussion about this, but I think it's going to be in the context of a bigger proposal. Again, I think Judd's absolutely right. None of this belongs in this discussion. Let's pass a clean debt limit going forward. Look, you guys have just for the last 15 minutes that I've been watching talked about the fragility of the economy today. We have an inverted yield curve. Guess what? Washington, do your job, pay your bills, do not threaten this, and then move on and do the responsible thing, which is actually have a real conversation instead of, as Judd said, putting angels on the head of a pin. And so, to me, if they aren't looking at all the tea leaves that you guys are talking about in terms of the fragility of the economy and thinking that, oh, well, it doesn't matter because I'm going to blame the other side. Look, it's going to be a pox on all their houses when people see that this is going to drive us further into a possibility of a deeper recession.